Welcome, everyone, to our Synergy call. I know we're off a week for this one because of Thanksgiving, but it's a perfect conversation to have right before the holidays. And we're so glad you joined us here on our Synergy call. It's all about really looking at ways that we can educate and help people in health and wellness, improve quality of life so that we can live a more vibrant life. It's all about being synergistic. And tonight we have a very special and honored guest and featured speaker. Her name is Olivia. We call her Liv Snoddy, and she is going to be sharing with us this evening about how best to be eating during the holiday season and trying to, obviously stay healthy yourself, your family, and just do the right things. You work so hard all year and you don't want to blow it over the holiday season. I know for me, I don't want to. So Liv is amazing. She's a certified integrative nutrition health coach, and she has been really helping us, Regenrus, in meal planning and preparation for different things we've done. I encourage you to follow on Instagram at Heal with Liv. She's she posts a lot of recipes, pictures that, I just wish I lived right next door to her so I could use her service for meal prepping and helping out me there, Liv. But we're so glad to have you on the call, and I can't wait for you to share all the great information with our folks.
Thanks, Cindy, for having me on the call tonight. I feel really honored to be here. This is such an exciting time of the year. The holidays coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It can be really exciting, but sometimes overwhelming for many. So I hope that maybe tonight I can share some insight for all of you. And like Cindy had said, I am a certified health coach. I graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition last year. And I really focus mainly on food with my clients and just getting people to, take better care of their bodies, starting with what's on their plate. So I'm really excited to have all of you here tonight. Thank you for taking the time to join us. And for those of you who are catching up over YouTube after, we're so happy to have you with us then as well. So I will share my screen here. All right. So first, I do want to kind of dive into some tips and tricks, as I call them, for going into the holiday season, right? How can we better equip ourselves for what's to come, right? So with holidays, we know there's a lot of food, sometimes some unhealthy foods, but also a lot of traditional foods and things that maybe we don't want to lose out on. Spending time with our families and really taking advantage of those beautiful moments. And sometimes food, can be at the center of those times, but for some, it can definitely be a little challenging, whether we do have certain allergies or, our bodies just don't feel right eating those foods, but we're around our family and friends and we don't want to miss out on them. So I do have some tips and tricks for kind of tackling what's to come here in the next few months. So the first one really this is definitely my biggest tip that I can share tonight is just getting involved. If there are certain things that you want to eat or you want to see on your plate during a holiday meal, get involved. Make things that you want to eat. And what's even more fun about this is, get your family and friends involved too. If there are foods that you want to bring to a friend's or family's house, bring it. And that will be kind of the start of like a new conversation about maybe your healthy lifestyle, maybe some food choices that you have been making in your life. And it just kind of opens up the doors. But this is really, this is a way for us to be proactive, right? And take care of your own health. I know for myself, if I want to eat a certain way, whether I'm going to a friend's house or I'm traveling for the day, I always bring my own food. And I know it can sound a little crazy, but your friends and family, they'll respect that. So bring it what you want to bring and kind of rally people around your healthy lifestyle. So I just encourage you to have fun and cook, to bring food to the parties that you're going to. One of my next top tips is staying hydrated throughout this really busy time of the year. So first off, I know I've talked about on my last energy call, was proper daily hydration. This is something that we should all be doing, whether it's the holidays or not. But really during this time, it's even more crucial because for many of us who live in colder climates, unlike Cindy, who's in the warmth in Texas, our bodies are cold, right? They're dry. This is the time of the year where we get really dry skin, really chapped lips. So our bodies need to be hydrated even more so now. So proper daily hydration, meaning ensure that you're drinking at least half of your body weight in ounces. And I encourage you to also drink your water at least room temperature, if not body temperature. That would be amazing, because that just helps the body absorb the water even better. It's not shocking to your system like cold water would be. So just body temperature water with a little sea salt can actually help your body absorb the water that you're actually drinking instead of just going right through your system. But one of the other big reasons we should be staying hydrated is for all of those holiday parties that we're going to be going to, maybe overindulging a bit. So I encourage you to, for every glass of wine or cocktail that you may have an extra glass or two of water. And also when it comes to making food choices, when we aren't properly hydrated, our bodies will actually trick us and signal hunger instead of, because our bodies don't know how to signal dehydration, it'll just send out hunger alerts. So we may actually overeat or we may overindulge because our systems aren't properly hydrated. So when we're in a time where we are going to be tempted and be around more food, maybe some more indulgent foods, we want to make sure that we're actually really hydrated so our bodies aren't cueing to just overeat or overindulge. And also, this will help keep your metabolism properly stable and will help reduce your water retention within the body from alcohol and some of the salty foods that you may be eating. So my next tip is balance is key, right? So eat your healthy foods as much as you possibly can, right? Maybe breakfast and lunch, or breakfast and dinner if lunch is your meal that you're eating out, or at a party or whatnot. But make sure that you're enjoying those moments too. Don't beat yourself up. Eat your healthy foods as much as you possibly can, but everything is balance at the end of the day. Everything in moderation, obviously within reason, but don't miss out right on the holiday fun and the holiday cheer either. Really try to keep a good balance. However, even with maybe indulging in some foods, I encourage you to not take a full vacation from your healthy eating, right? So this is a time of the year where you're really going to want to stay on track, especially if healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, healthy living in general is something that you're really passionate about. Why kind of let things that are going on around you change that, right? I know, during the holidays, we can be surrounded by, others, family, friends, others' opinions, what other people are doing. But I just encourage you to really stay on track, stay, true to your vision and what your end goal is, and don't really let the holiday excitement really derail what you've been working so hard on throughout the year. However, if you are going to enjoy something new or different, try to think of it as you're having an experience. It's all part of the festivities, it's all part of the fun, and don't beat yourself up over it. If you're going to indulge, enjoy it, right? You don't want to have that blame game later. And my next tip is really focus on self-care. Make it a priority throughout the holiday season. Holidays can be very stressful for many people, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially. It's a very, very busy time for a lot of people. And maybe we're reuniting with family, maybe we're reuniting with some friends, maybe everyone's not always getting along well. But really try to take care of yourself during this time, because the more that you care for yourself and you care for your body, the better food decisions you'll be able to make too. I know many men and women suffer from emotional eating and overeating, and If we're not feeling really good in our own bodies, we may be turning to food even more during this time, because sweets and indulgences are really highlighted during this time of the year as well. So I really encourage you to take care of yourself during this time. Ensure that you're maintaining your self-care and alone time, to really decompress and unwind from all the excitement around sleep, meditation, journaling, movement, detoxing. These are all really, really important things this time, especially detoxing. I want to highlight that a little bit more, in detoxing, whether that's, through sweat. So going to a sauna, working out, anything to really get a sweat on will be great, because that will help detox, right? Some of those foods that we may be eating or some of the drinks that we may be drinking. Also, dry brushing is a great detox method as well. And movement really is so important during this time, in the winter especially, because our bodies tend to be more stagnant, right? We don't move as much necessarily in the winter months, because, especially for us East Coasters, because it's colder out, right? Less sunlight, it's really cold here. So ensure that you are moving your body, because you need it more now than ever. And again, all of these things, if these are in line and if we're taking the time to really practice these, we will be making better food decisions at the end of the day. And my last tip focuses on digestion, right? Eating all these different things at this time. So again, I just re-highlighted here, moving your body. Take a 30-minute walk right after meals. It'll just make you feel better. Eat lighter meals as it gets later in the day, right? So in terms of our digestion and optimal digestion, really the peak of our digestion is midday. Really around, noon to 2 o'clock. That's really when our digestive fires are at their peaks. So that's why, a bigger lunch is always, probably the better meal to have instead of having a bigger dinner. And especially too, for some people, breakfast is very important, but not everyone's digestion has hit its peak. So sometimes we actually do overeat for breakfast when our systems are not fully ready for that yet. So I encourage you to eat lighter meals as the day goes on, especially at night. Do not save your biggest, most indulgent meal for a late dinner. Practice mindfulness as you eat, right? Enjoy every bite, savor, chew your food thoroughly, especially if you're around friends and family. This will just help the digestion even more. And avoid drinking, especially water, a half hour before and a half hour after your meals. This can cause bloat and discomfort for some, and the fluids definitely impact your natural digestive enzymes. So I encourage you, don't drink right before and right after you eat. Just let your system do the work for you. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of the fun things, really specifically around food and how we can make this time maybe a little bit healthier, right, than maybe it was in the past. So I just had some ideas for all of you in terms of, better for you swaps. So there are so many foods out there, right, that we grew up eating, or maybe they're still in our household that we can't part with. But nowadays, there are so many better alternatives for our systems out there, and it's just a matter of knowing about them and maybe experimenting with them the next time you cook and just getting more comfortable with them. So I have some food swaps here listed that I can kind of go through, but one of my big things is butter, right? So instead of maybe using conventional butter in all of your baked goods, in your mashed potatoes, and anything that's going to call for a lot of butter, which at this time of the year, there's a lot of things that are filled with butter, maybe turn towards a grass-fed organic butter or ghee, which is clarified butter, which for many people who have a tough time breaking down dairy, they do very well with ghee. Hershey's cocoa powder, right? Maybe just look for an organic, pure cocoa powder. It's a great option. Vanilla flavoring for desserts. I recommend a pure vanilla extract that's organic from Madagascar. Jarred cranberry sauce. Cranberry sauce is one of those foods that is so easy to make, and we can really just overlook that. But really, it's just a few simple ingredients, and you can really control the sugar amount that goes into that as well. Easy canned pumpkin pie mix. I didn't even really know that that was a thing, but that exists. And really all you need is organic pumpkin puree, with maybe a few other, things to add in there if you really want to make a good pumpkin pie. Ready Whip, which is, whipped cream. Essentially, you can make that dairy-free with coconut milk. Again, just coconut milk, maple syrup, and vanilla extract, and you whip that together, and you have essentially a dairy-free homemade Ready Whip whipped cream, which is amazing. Maybe instead of Domino white and brown sugar, I would encourage you to play around with coconut sugar. And if you do not want to even have that refined, because coconut sugar still is, a refined sugar, it's better for you than the regular white and brown sugars, but maybe play around with just natural sweeteners, right? Maple syrup, raw honey, dates even. Milks, right? A lot of people are afraid of whole milk, so they turn to skim milks, anything low fat, but really the whole milk is essentially has the most nutrients in it at the end of the day. Skim milks, all those reduced fat milks, they're taking out all the good things in them. So I encourage you to look for a grass-fed whole milk. And again, don't overindulge in it, but maybe a little bit in your coffee, maybe a little is going into a dessert. It is better for you at the end of the day. White flour, maybe taking that out and maybe playing with some alternative flours such as almond flours, coconut, cassava flours. They're super, super easy to bake with. I mostly bake with almond flour, and it's incredible. I feel so much better eating those kinds of desserts than I did before with white flours. So I encourage you to play around with those, have fun. Corn oils, vegetable oils, that if there's anything you could take away from this list, it would be those. Please, 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 if those are already not out of your kitchen, please remove them. And if you ever want more information about oils and what they have done to the human race and our health, I am more than happy to send you. I have a few incredible videos on that, but please remove those from your kitchens and replace them with coconut oil, cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, and even ghee here. Ghee is a wonderful tool. It can withstand a very high heat to cook at. It's just under coconut oil. So if you are cooking at a high temperature, I do cook a lot with ghee instead of having the vegetable oils. And lastly, any kind of breads, multigrain, wheat breads. A lot of people now are turning towards more gluten-free alternatives, but I recommend trying to look for like a local made bread, specifically sourdough. Sourdough is a naturally fermented food that is often better for your gut. It's feeding your gut some probiotics while you're eating it. And people who actually have celiac disease or are gluten-free, they tend to digest sourdough better. So again, that's just something I would encourage you to play around with. So how to clean up traditional foods. This is fun. I like taking things that maybe we have eaten for a while and have stuck in our traditional ways, but we're kind of making them healthier, right? So mashed potato, one of my favorite things, right? But it is loaded with butter, milk. So I encourage you to just mash it with a little bit of ghee and Celtic sea salt. It's amazing. You don't need all the butter and milk in there. Or better yet, instead of mashing the potatoes, you can actually mash cauliflower with other veggies such as turnip, daikon, rutabaga. It gives it the same kind of consistency, but it's just a little healthier for you. Sweet potato casserole. I know there's a lot of butter, milk, white flour, sugar, marshmallows even go into sweet potato casserole. But I would suggest swapping those for some coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut sugar, or maple syrup, and walnuts. It'll be just as delicious. Or just roast a baked sweet potato as well. And all the stuffing and rolls, maybe swap out the bread and the meat that would go into a traditional stuffing, and instead maybe try out some quinoa and mushrooms. Maybe go for more of a plant-based stuffing. And instead of rolls and bread, I would toast up some sourdough and break it up and serve it on the table with olive oil. And now how to incorporate more veggies into your holiday meals. So really make them the center attraction, right? So often on our tables, the meat is really the focal piece, right? The turkey, the ham, but why not make the veggies the center of, of the table? They have more color, right? Eating the rainbow. So this time of the year, the produce is just so beautiful. I think I love root vegetables. I love warming, grounding veggies. I think they're so fun to cook with, whether you're roasting them, steaming them, mashing them. There's so many different ways that you can cook these veggies. So play around with them. But some of them that I wanted to highlight, maybe that we haven't really played with in the past, maybe kohlrabi, rutabaga, daikon, celery root, turnip. They're just really exciting, really fun. Another way to incorporate your greens is maybe serving, if you're serving a regular vegetable or something, a regular veggie dish, maybe pair a green with it. So say that you're serving, roasted carrots, for example. I love serving roasted carrots over a bed of like arugula and wild rice. Maybe just make more greens and more plants part of the dish. You could even top your mashes. If you are doing a mashed potato or mashed cauliflower, top your mashes with sprouts or parsley, just anything to get more greens in there. And then play with your herbs. Herbs are an incredible source of antioxidants, sage, thyme, rosemary, get them into everything and just play, just experiment, but really bring out more of the veggies for sure. And now last but not least, dessert time, right? Everyone's favorite. How can we make this healthier? So how to tackle the desserts. First off, like I had kind of mentioned before, if we're going to eat those heavier, more indulgent meals, maybe we could do it earlier in the day, especially with desserts. I always encourage to eat desserts earlier in the day, just so we have more time to digest and detox them. If we are eating desserts late at night, they're just going to be sitting with our food and taking a really long time to digest, especially while we're sleeping. So I encourage you, if you can, maybe have those sweets maybe earlier in the day, but definitely at the main meal, load up on your healthy foods, right? That balance of the carbs, proteins, the fats, just so you're not turning to those sweets really at the end of the meal. Keep yourself hydrated, and again, bring your own desserts. That way you can control what flour is going into it, the sugars, the oils, everything. And some of my pantry staples for healthier desserts. These are some that I use practically in all of my desserts. Almond flour, again, big one. Coconut flour is great. Ground flaxseed. Flaxseed is incredible. You can also make a flax egg. So if you're cooking something vegan, you don't want to put eggs into it, you can actually combine ground flaxseed with water, and after about 10-15 minutes, it will have the same consistency of an egg. So fun fact there. Maple syrup, incredible sweetener. That's what I use most of the time in my desserts. Local raw honey. If you are going to use the sugar, coconut sugar would probably be your best bet. Baking soda, baking powder, pure vanilla extract, coconut oil, chia seeds. You can make incredible puddings out of chia seeds. I actually made one the other day with a pumpkin spice milk that was made from cashews. I just threw in some chia seeds, let it soak overnight, and you have a chia seed pudding. It's amazing. Coconut milk, pumpkin puree, organic cocoa powder, organic spices such as cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, and last but not least, no added sugar, applesauce. Applesauce can be a great natural sweetener for a lot of desserts too. Even like bananas, for banana bread, maybe mix in some applesauce with that too. It's a great natural sweetener. That wraps up my presentation for the day, for the night. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I encourage you all to connect with me on my Instagram. That's where I share most of my recipes and my health coach tips. So that's Heal with Liv on Instagram. My website is healwithliv.com, and my email is healwithliv@gmail.com. And I also want to let everyone know that in December, I am going to be doing a live Zoom cooking class with Heal It Live. So please send me an email so I can invite you to that. I'm still working out some details around it, but that is going to be such a fun event. So I would love to have my Regenrus family there with me as well. So please reach out and send me your information so that we can connect about that.